We'll go ahead and move into our agenda. The first person that I want to introduce to you today is going to come and just give you some general updates and some information and some greetings as well. He's Ken Bishop. Ken, as many of you know, is the president and CEO of NASBA. He took over that role officially on January 1st. However, he'd been with NASBA for approximately 6 years. Prior to that, he was the executive director for the Missouri Board of Accountancy, where before that even, he worked with Missouri in law enforcement and headed up a large division of the Missouri Law Enforcement Division. And then prior to that, he was also involved in law enforcement and did some training at both the state and the national level. So he knows about compliance and standards and all these things based on his background. I'm not going to say anything else because Ken told me be careful because you know your performance review is coming up. So would you guys please welcome Ken Bishop.
Thank you. You pass. You know, I got to tell you, I was sitting there thinking, you know, there's some of the leaders of training and education in the United States sitting in the room. And when Alfonso had to explain to you how to use a ballpoint pen, I was starting to be a little bit worried. So I'm glad it was a little more technical than that. Well, I want to be the second person to invite you to Nashville, Tennessee. You know, we love this room because when the curtains are open, you know, you get to see the skyline of downtown Nashville. And you know, we identify our buildings, the one with the 2 spires we call the Bat Building, and where NASBA has our offices, we call that R2D2. So literally from the vantage point here, you can kind of see some of the different buildings. I'm also glad to hear that you got the opportunity last night to visit Broadway and hopefully 2nd Street, some of the downtown. You know, we have a word down here called honky-tonkin', and we're pretty proud of that word. You know, a lot of people come to Nashville, have never used the word. They leave here, not only do they use the word, they bought a new pair of cowboy boots sometime while they were in Nashville. So I hope somebody, how many people bought boots while you were in Nashville? Did anybody? Yeah, good. I'm glad there's the economy. We appreciate that very much. Well, I also, on behalf of NASBA, I want to thank you for being here. You know, NASBA has a mission to basically to enhance the effectiveness of our state boards of accountancy, the regulation of accounting in the United States and really much of the globe, since we have CPAs practicing all over the planet. Now, you know, a big part of public protection, and that's really what we're about, is about competency. And as you all know more than anyone, we are living in a world of complexity that changes literally overnight. I mean, this last week at NASBA, we've been working very closely with the FAF as they have come up with the new Private Company Council to look at a new form of GAAP for private companies. You know, that's going to happen relatively soon. You know, Bill Atkinson, who is one of the former chairs of NASBA, is chairing that organization. And he has put together a pretty tight timeline to get started, to have deliverables from the new PCC pretty quickly, which means that CPAs are going to have to relatively quickly understand what GAAP is going to look like in the future to prepare for those changes for private companies. So you all play a significant role in making that happen, and it's so important. You know, I look out at the CP committee sitting here as a group. By the way, you guys should have spread out and spread the charm a little bit there, but a good-looking bunch of people there. But also, you know, this group has really made some changes, and you all are more aware of those changes than anyone. I mean, the new sets of standards, the new way of doing business, the new online systems, the application system, the approval systems. Maria and her staff have played such a big role. But this is not a group or a group of volunteers who have rested on their laurels. There has been continuous change, continuous improvements, and I know that you played a big role in providing the feedback to make those changes occur. And I've gotten to see many of your emails and comments that you made. It looks like there's a lot of positive feedback, and we really do appreciate that. But I got to tell you, there has been more change in the area of CPE in the last couple years in NASBA, as we do with the registry, than probably any time in a long, long time. So we appreciate that very much. You know, one of the things I want to talk about too is the quality of the CPE. You know, I can remember back when I started, when I left the state police in Missouri and moved over to the CPE, or the regulatory side of being director of accountancy for the state of Missouri. I remember hearing referrals about CPE, you know, of watching paint dry on the walls and some of the negative comments that occurred. The quality of CPE that has changed in the last decade is amazing. You know, as you get Generation X and Generation Y and soon to be Generation Z coming into the marketplace, this is a young group of people who are interested in instant gratification, a lot of online activities, you know, a lot of flexibility. They're competency outcome based. I mean, the United States has always been sort of this hourly based educational model, and they're looking more and more towards an outcome based environment with these young folks coming along. And it's so important for me to be able to see what you're doing, to see that you're really keeping pace with those changes that are occurring in the CPE environment. And I just think that's absolutely great, that you're not resting on your laurels, that you're getting in there making the significant changes that you're willing to make. I also want to give a shout out. I know that I was looking through the registrants and saw some of the state societies that are attending here. And then that wasn't the case just a few years ago. You know, at NASBA, we work directly with the state boards, and, you know, we've been really involved in legislation. You know, the CPA profession in the United States is the only profession in the world that has the type of mobility. Now 49 states and one subdivision, and soon to have 50 states that has mobility, where essentially when someone gets licensed in one state like Tennessee, they can now go out and practice in 49 other states after they receive their license. It's unprecedented in the history of regulation. It's unprecedented in the history of professions, and it's on the ground right now. Well, what that means is that now then someone who gets licensed in any state, wherever they set the bar of credibility, education, testing, CPE, whatever they set, that person is going to travel somewhere else on the globe and practice public accounting, and the consistency and the quality of the education that happens in Utah is important to us in Tennessee, or Missouri is important to New York. So you all play a vital role in that. I hope you understand the complexity of the new licensing model in the United States and how important that role is, because people getting valid, high-grade competency training from you ensures that when they travel around the globe, we're getting high-quality education, high-quality practice wherever they go, and we appreciate that very much. I also want to kind of, again, go into the societies. I was going to touch on that a little more. As we worked with the legislation around the United States, we learned very quickly to be successful. We had to have a great relationship with those societies, go in, work effectively with them to get them to work with us in getting consensus and moving forward with legislation and on other matters. I think much can be said for that for CPE. You know, state societies have always been big providers of CPE. For them to say, we're going to sit down and follow the same rules, responsibilities, quality, attending meetings like this is demonstrative of their willingness to get in there and do exactly the same things that the other people that are doing this room as a for-profit or non-for-profit, whatever type of business you are. And I think that says a lot for the societies that have signed up to be on the registry and to participate in this event. We thank you for that very much. Well, I'm taken away from what is you're really here to hear, and I know you're going to have a great keynote speaker this morning. But I do hope you have the time to, if you haven't seen much of Nashville, great barbecue, great food, great people here in Nashville. And I'll tell you one thing too about job security, because I learned about this. I am the new president and CEO, and luckily I had a nice comment this morning. I was doing a good job. Well, that made me feel good to hear that. But you know, you always want to know. So the good thing about Nashville is if you walk down Broadway and 2nd Street, you'll notice on almost every corner there's somebody playing a guitar with a guitar case open for you to make tips. Well, some of those people may have come here to be stars. They may have come here to be the president of NASBA, but they ended up on Broadway. But here's the trick of something that you can learn from me today. There's a guy uptown that has a dog, a white dog. He can't play guitar, he can't sing, but he's got a great white dog that wears sunglasses, and he gets more tips from anybody. So my tip to you is, if all else fails, don't worry about how well you play the guitar. Don't worry about how well you sing. Get you a dog, get you a pair of sunglasses, you'll be okay. Have a great time in Nashville, everybody.